Hi, and welcome to the Punk CX podcast. My name is Adrian Swinsko, and I'm an advisor, best-selling author, speaker, and general explorer when it comes to customer and employee experience. I'm really interested in figuring out what it takes to build organizations that produce better outcomes for both customers and employees. So with that in mind, I seek out and interview CEOs, entrepreneurs, business and tech leaders, authors and academics to uncover some clues about what it takes to build such an organization. Now, some of you may know the podcast as the Rare Business Podcast, but I decided to rename and rebrand the podcast recently. This is for a number of reasons. First one was to mirror the title of my book, Punk CX, which was published in June 2019. Two, because I'm a fan of punk music. And three, it's just more fun, right? Anyway, if this is your first time listening to one of these interviews, then hello and welcome. And please do dive into the archives at adrianswinsko.com, as I've now completed over 300 of these interviews in the last few years. If this is not your first time listening, then welcome back and thank you. Anyway, that's enough for me right now. Let's get into the interview. So, hello, my name's Adrian Swinsko, and I am joined today by Claire Muscat because we've got a very, very special conversation coming up. Hey, Claire, how are you doing?
Hey, Adrian, I'm good. Excited for this conversation.
So, who have we got in the waiting room?
We've got the winner of my Customer CX Leader of the Year, Shri Afriti. Welcome.
Hi, Shri. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Wonderful. So good to see you.
Yeah, so good to see the rest of the world.
So just to get us going, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Right. I'm working at Telekom Indonesia. Telekom Indonesia is one of the largest telco in the region. We have over 250 million subscribers, and we have over 42 subsidiaries operating in 10 countries. And I am responsible for managing overall customer experience for Telkom Group. So not just in Indonesia, but all over in the countries.
Wow, that's a big job.
That's a huge job. I mean, before we get into the kind of the reason why we're here, kind of like, and then we can rain down plaudits and glory on you, Shri. Before we do that, I mean, can you tell me how you got into this customer experience sort of space? Just to give us a bit of a kind of background. I mean, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Right. Okay. So in 2017, the company decided that we are going to do digital transformation. One of the key success in digital transformation is believed to be customer experience. And we've seen that this has been driven by the change in technology, change in customer behaviors, and also change in the competition itself. For example, we are a telecom company. We are facing competition from OTT companies like Google, like Facebook, and the rest. So that drives us, telco, that it is a must for us to do a digital transformation. And then that's why in 2017, the company decided to put customer experience as one of its strategic initiative, one of three, and it's in number one. And then with that, after they decided that customer experience as part of the strategic initiative, then they decided that they need to put the organization to be responsible to it and accountable to it. And then they appoint me as a project director for customer experience transformations. And that's how I got into this CX stuff.
Awesome. That's super interesting. And to see how it's evolved and, kind of creating this role and accountability from the organization to make it happen. That's really refreshing to hear. But I'm sure, particularly as a woman in CX, you must have had some barriers and hurdles to jump over and get through during your career. Could you tell us some of those?
Right. But in fact, Gartner stated that 70% of CX professionals are women.
Exactly. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. So, and that's also the same goes with my team. So, my direct reports, 75% are women. So, I think this is something that is natural, because in order to have a good customer experience, we need to be able to have empathy with the customers, especially during this pandemic. We cannot deliver great services without trying to have empathy with the problem or the pain of the customers. And that's why I believe that that's why women are in the right place for the customer experience. So it's glad that I'm so proud that I am appointed in this position. So previously, I was the chief marketing officer of a joint venture of Telkom and Telstra, and it's called Telkom Telstra. So from Telstra, Telstra is a telecom in Australia. I learned a lot also about customer experience. And that's why I think the company appoint me into this position, not just because I'm a female, but because of the experience managing a joint venture with another telco from another country. So I think it's a good thing that in terms of customer experience, they put the right people, not just in terms of gender. So for this, the good thing about customer experience transformation is we are transforming the business, and that's why the company decided to put people with business background instead of technology background, because the company doesn't want to get trapped into more of technology rather than the business itself.
Yeah, super interesting. Just to go back to that point around, yes, 70% of people who work in customer experience are female, but only 35...
50-50 here.
Well, yes.
Yeah. But only 35% then make it into supervisory roles and management, and only 12% get to the top. So, to be a senior woman in CX, it's awesome to have seen kind of that journey. And yeah, absolutely hearing what you're saying, women naturally have a lot of these skills, but as you said, I just thought it was really interesting, business background over technology, because predominantly that is a male dominated space, isn't it, in tech? So being able to bring these two worlds together is really helping to even that out. So super interesting. Thank you.
So Shri, coming back to the core of the reason why we're here, I mean, it's the sort of the CX Leader of the Year competition. I mean, let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? Why did you enter? Kind of like winning competitions? Kind of what made you enter the kind of the competition? I mean, what was the drive to do so?
Okay, so actually, I think it's something that with everything that I do, I need to. I am always be passionate about what I do in work. And in terms of CX, I'm not just working for the company on CX, but I also form an Indonesian CX Professional Association. I am currently also taking my PhD, writing about dissertation about the impact of customer experience to marketing performance. So I was thinking that it is not just something that about the work that I do with the company that matters, but in terms of the knowledge itself is also very important to be built in the Indonesian context. So that's why I try to join this competition in order to validate whether what I do are we in the right direction? Are we in the right way in doing customer experience transformation? And also by joining this, we are also trying to learn from other industries what they are doing about CX. We are also able to benchmark from other CX professional or CX leaders. What's the good way? What's the good thing that we may be able to implement in our company?
Awesome. I think it's great. I mean, I think that I love the idea that it gives you a reason to sort of to collate your experience and present it in a way, but also that you're involved in a professional association within your kind of region, and how the entering and probably the winning is connected to kind of inspiring kind of people in your kind of in your region, and recognizing the accomplishments of those people, your colleagues in the region. So, fair play to that.
And kind of leading on from there, obviously you've now got this validation and recognition for the amazing work that you've done, and
you won,
and world leading work that you've done. I'm just really curious, like, how does it feel to be the winner, and what does it mean to you to have won?
Right. The first time when I got the notification that I won it, I'm very surprised. Really? Wow. I couldn't believe it. I keep seeing the email, whether it's correct or not. But then what does it mean? I think it's a recognition for not just for myself, but also for the team, that even the team are very proud that it's kind of recognition that we are on the right track, and we are deserve to be benchmarked by other industries as well. So one of our CX mission is we would like to be the benchmark for other industries in the region about customer experience. And by winning this, it's like recognition that we can be one of the reference for other companies in customer experience. So this is something that is we believe the importance of this recognition.
Yeah, amazing.
Not just and the other thing is also about the about inspiring other CX professional in Indonesia, because we believe that there are not so many people chose to be a CX professional. But then now with this recognition, many people would acknowledge that, oh, there is this kind of profession, not just about contact center, not just about customer service, but there is a profession called customer experience professional. So this is something that is also, I think, very important from this winning.
Yeah, fabulous. And I already have a list of people who are struggling with telco digital transformation, women in my community. So I hope you don't mind, I'm going to send them your way to learn from you.
So this whole award is about winning the Leader of the Year. I mean, let's talk about leadership, shall we? I mean, it's like, and the thing I'd like to kind of ask is, how would you describe your leadership style? Because we've heard about the other things that you've done and the accomplishments, and it's all brilliant. But how have you kind of done that? What is your style that's enabled that?
Do you want to know the honest answer?
Yeah, of course. Unvarnished. So
I would like to call my leadership style as fire and forget. So if I find something that
I'm a little bit scared now, I think.
If I found something that is not right, so I immediately tell my subordinates or my team that you need to fix it immediately. But then I don't keep it to the heart. But this is something that is different. I mean, like many people consider that I have more into Western culture rather than Asian culture, because this is not fire and forget is not the type of leadership of many Asian leaders. Direct and also, but not keep it for a long time or keep it to the heart. That's why they call that my style. They call it a Western style, but I don't think that whatever it is. But I chose to do that because I don't want, because this matters relates with the customer, and anything that relates to the customer needs to be resolved immediately. So that's how I called my management or my leadership style, because I would like to keep it open communication with my team. And if there is anything that is not accordingly, I don't want them to hide it from me and report it later on. So I want them to report immediately if there is something with the problem. So I'm not only responsible for customer experience, but also for digitization. What it means by digitization is how do we simplify and how do we put the business process from analog into digital. And that's why what we did is we do business process re-engineering, make it simple and put it into technology, and then make it and using and leverage the latest technology. And that's why I don't want people to report anything very late until it's too late to be fixed. And that's why I always encourage my team, let me know any time in 24 hours. Then I would like to discuss and find the immediate solution.
So Shri, thank you for being so honest.
Bit punk there, Adrian.
I know. I mean, crumbs. it's a bit like,
Is it part of Punk XL?
Well, of course. I mean, it's like, you're being kind of really straightforward. You're like going, I demand high standards, but I want no kind of secrets. I'm going to be completely open and transparent kind of with you and fair, and I'm not going to hold on to stuff, but because I know that these things are important, and I want you to feel that they're important too, and that we all agree that they're important, and therefore that we hold ourselves to those collective kind of high standards. And that's brilliant. I mean, and thank you for just being so sort of direct about it, because sometimes when I've asked other people about sort of how we describe their style, and they're like going, well,
It's a fluffy word.
And you've gone like, fire and forget.
I love it.
You're like going, okay, deal with it. So thank you. That's that's brilliant. I mean, it's like, it's so, what, deal with it, how you interpret that, how you kind of engage with that, how you understand that, how you feel about that, that's all on them. There's you, there's your team, and then the results that you produce and the outcomes that your customers get, that's inarguable.
So they used to call me Wonder Woman.
Yes.
And bulldozer. Because if I want to achieve something, just do it.
Well, I'm totally with you on that one. And I'm fascinated to kind of like hear that Western Asian difference in leadership as well. I'm kind of thinking back through your career. Was there like a particular boss that stood out to you that you learned from, and any particular characteristics that you found inspiring or special?
Yeah, so one of the boss that I am very inspired is my first boss. His name is Indra Utoyo. He works now. He used to be my director, but he moved to other companies in banking. What I learned from him is about he's very smart, but at the same time he is very humble. So that is something that is, I believe, the important characteristic of a leader for a long term. So and also from other thing that I learned from him is that he's always passionate about what he do, and also he's very, very into hard work. And I learned a lot from his leadership, and that I believe that whatever that he do, because he's my first boss and I worked with him for over 10 years, a lot of things that I learned now come from him, and I'm very look up to him as well. So he's also the one who encouraged me to take a further education, because at the time I said that why should I take my PhD? The company doesn't need a PhD and doing that kind of research. But then he said that no, you need to take that, because it's good to understand about strategy, but you also need to understand the philosophy of doing the research. And that's why he said that it's very important to take a further education on this.
Wow, he sounds awesome. And what a brilliant thing for the world to have PhD research in customer experience too. Well, a bit more punkness there, isn't there, Adrian? More straight talking, keeping it simple.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Smart,
although crumbs, I've toyed with the idea of kind of doing a PhD and stuff, and then I toy with it, and then then not toy with it anymore and put it aside, and then think I'll come back to it, and I keep kind of, and it's
You've
like
published lots of books. You should take a PhD.
maybe. It's a bit like there's this internal kind of roundabout that I keep going round, and it just sits there on the side of the road, and I go round the roundabout and go, oh, hello, and then I go keep going round. I get off.
But I'll tell you one thing: if you study and you'll feel young because you meet a lot of young people at school.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's an incentive enough to want to go do it.
It's a lot of work, right?
Well, I mean, I think I'll get to it at some point. I'm sure I probably will. But I think the thing. So, thank you for the story about your boss and the idea about remaining humble. But is that the biggest lesson you've learned in kind of leadership? That, or rather, is that the biggest thing that you learned kind of from him, or is there a bigger lesson that you've learned through your journey, your leadership kind of journey, that you've kind of carried through, that's kind of formed your experience, as it were?
Yeah, humble is, I think, as I read on the book, is one of the key leadership or level 5 leadership from the book of the leadership. Mm-hmm. And that's why I learned, because my background in terms of education is that I always get scholarship for my study. I got scholarship from British Embassy for British Chevening. I got my study for my master also from scholarship. So when I first entered the job, I felt like, oh, I'm the smartest people in this company because I always study. I always got scholarship. But then I met him, and he studied also overseas. He's very smart, but at the same time, he's very humble. And then I said, like, I don't think it's right to be proud of what you've achieved, but it is very, very good to be humble, because at the end of the day, when you feel you know anything, but in reality, you know nothing. Mm. And so that's why I really learned a lot from him. And at the time, he's not... at the time, I was a junior staff. He's in a position of general manager, but he keeps getting promotion into a position of chief in the company. And not only that, after he's no longer with the telecom, he is also hired as one of the chief in banking industry. So I think that is because of his capability, and also because of his character to be very open and humble. And the other thing that I learned from him about leadership is that a leader must be predictable. So what I meant by leader must be predictable is it's very often when you are a leader, you set agenda, for example, meeting at 10 on Monday, but then you change it into 11. And then you change it into 12. You keep waiting. You keep your staff keep waiting for you. And then change it into 2. And then you keep asking the staff another thing to change. But he said, no, Fitri, leader must be predictable. So if he always keep the meeting every Monday at 10 to 12. And he managed to do that every Monday at 10 to 12. And we need to prepare ourselves at 10 to 12. Outside that, we need to do our own job and meet our OKR, objective key results. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to disturb us. He is not calling us for meeting unless it is very urgent or unless there is something important that very important happens. So we just expect every Monday at 10, we will see him and report about the job. So that is what I implement to my team, that I am predictable. This is what I want. This is what I like. You follow this, and I will meet you every time of this day. And then you don't have any excuses because I don't have any data or report. No, because I've told you that every Monday at 10, you need to report to me. So that is something that I learned a lot from him as well.
So like role modeling consistency, meaning other people, then the expectation is they'll be consistent back. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
I was thinking about the future now. So obviously you talked a lot at the start about, this huge, massive change that's resulted from technology and the changes that have occurred as a kind of backlash to that and having to do things like digital transformation to completely replan services, to try and figure out how we engineer processes in a digital way and move forward with an experience that isn't just an outcome of those processes. So I'm really interested to know from our CX Leader of the Year, what do you think the future's going to look like? So like the future of the service experience itself, some of the big challenges that might lay ahead. Please share your crystal ball with us. What are your predictions?
I think the future will be much more required personalization. And in order to be able to do personalization in the CX, then the CX professional must also learn about data. So data will be very, very important. So previously, CX professionals should understand the aspect of marketing, because customer experience is part of the knowledge of marketing. And that's why a lot of people from marketing background was asked to work in the CX area. But then in the future, CX professional will be required to have the capability of understanding the customer behavior through the data. So I think that it's very good that as a CX professionals also to understand about the technology that will help them to understand the data, turning the data into information, from information into insights. And the company like Google and Facebook are very good at it in terms of changing or understanding the data and getting insights from the customer, but not like a company like us or a company like in other industries. So I think the future for customer experience will be much more personalized, and that will be based and supported by data.
And how do you think we're going to enable the future to be something that is still human rather than it being entirely digital? Do you have a view on that? Or is it a case of creating digital experiences that feel human?
Yeah, but actually from our experience, even though that the technology are getting more and more advanced, but the customers still prefer to deal with people. Mm-hmm. So I have an example whereby one of our customer journey, we try to implement a chatbot. So the chatbot is for a journey of pay. So when the customer asks, what's my billing? So the chatbot will answer about your total bill is, let's say, $10. What's my customer detail billing? They'll give a detail of how much call you make, how many for internet, and so and so. But then after we measure it for NPS, the lowest NPS that we got is the one that we use, the chatbot. And the reason for that was because in terms of the language, because most of the chatbot doesn't really speak well Indonesia. And in Indonesia, we have hundreds of different slang, different language, and that people also like to play with the robot. When they realize that this is a chatbot, they try to send a lot of words that doesn't make sense. And then the wording, they make fun of it. They create a meme and put it on Instagram. Look, this is what happened when I asked about it. So at some point, people will still be relevant and will still be important. And that's why, as I usually use in the words, is like artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence, there is a word art.
And art, I like that.
Human.
More punk.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Because I have a thing in the punk CX kind of book. I'll show you to you so you can actually see it. In fact, Sri, what I will do is I'll send you copies of these just so you have them. And as a thank you for sharing some time with us today. But if you can see this, I have a thing there that says here.
Oh.
Are you an artist or are you just coloring in?
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's kind of the difference between just doing something that's normal or run of the mill regular or doing something which is different and stands out. And it's that sort of thing around it's harnessing the art, right? You can use the science and which is like the kind of the cold, hard data and everything else. But as you say, it's like, unless you can build on the insight and the action and the difference that wrap around that science, then you don't create art. And I think that's the difference that many people are aspiring to, but it only some go to lengths, or the right sort of lengths to achieve.
But Pang CX will not be Pang CX without you.
Wow, thank you very much. That's very kind. But it is more of a case of like I'm more encouraging.
If you use I, then it will be Ping CX.
Pink CX. Oh, maybe that's the women in CX version.
There you go. I mean, it's pink or green or orange. I don't really mind. I just kind of want it to be better. But actually, just boiling it down, really, because we've talked about it a lot, and I want to thank you and celebrate your achievements and the achievements of your team and everything else. But there'll be a lot of existing or aspiring leaders that'll be listening to our conversation. And I'd like you to maybe sort of think about, if you had to give them your best piece of advice, to really boil it down and say, because I know you're fire and forget, right? Going to be like, do this, carry on. What would be the top two things, or the top one thing that you would say to them if they wanted to improve both their own performance and drive better experience outcomes?
That's a tough question. So in terms of the advice in this is that the first thing is we need to measure. The most important thing is that we need to have discipline in measuring the advice in terms of CX, right? We need to have a discipline in the way we measure the impact of CX, and also how we measure CX, because people or business unit will tend to corrupt the data, will tend to modify, and will tend to try to achieve good CX, because they will feel like if the CX, if for example NPS results are not good, they will lose their face. And most of Indonesian doesn't like to lose the face. So what they do is, what the people mostly do is manipulate the data or modify the way they measure. So the most important thing is that we build the awareness to them that it's not the numbers that matters, but the customers' input really matters into it, and that's why we measure. So that's one of my important my advice, that as a CX professional, we need to pay attention of how we measure, and making sure that the unit that we measure really understand that it is not about the numbers, but it is how we gather feedback from the customers and how we fix it, and then how we get the results. Because if we manipulate, if we change the data, if we modify the way to measure it, then it's no point. So I give you one example why this is very important. I was at one of the airport in Europe, and the airport has a restaurant. In that restaurant has a measurement of NPS. So give this rating from 0 to 10 about the service from this restaurant. I sit in front of the restaurant, nobody give the numbers. And then the staff going in front of the measurement and put number 10. And then he go back and then go again and give number 10. And then he goes, what's the point? I mean, like, why are you spending a lot of money, but then you just put number 10 to your own store, right? So I don't want this to happen to the company. There is no point that we get higher score in NPS, but we don't have impact. And in the long term, the customer will leave us. The second thing that I would like to give advice is the hardest thing for CX professional is to bring awareness of the whole team, because we are having 42 subsidiaries, very large companies with over 25,000 people. So how do we motivate them? So my advice is how to motivate people. We use the top two psychological aspect of human being. Number one is fear. Number two is love. So we need to motivate them by telling them that if we are not doing this, maybe the next 5 years, this company will never be here. We're not doing business and we are not going to retire from this company. So that's one of the fear, right? Love is about how they love this company, how they love to treat customer. So those two are examples that we give, that we motivate them. And we use like several videos as an example, showing how important the internet services and how they love their customers. So those two things that that we use to motivate people to support our CX initiative: fear and love.
Perfect. Thank you. That's really interesting.
So, Sri, just to kind of finish off, really, like, I've learned so much and seeing a super interesting view of not only kind of customer experience more broadly, but also the Asia perspective that you brought to us today. And what I've really loved is just how radically transparent you are about everything. You know, really straight talking, no point manipulating the data, making sure teams feel like they're able to come to you and talk about issues and, you know, some of the techniques that you've used in the past to ensure that like teams stay motivated, like you just mentioned there, and fire and forget will forever stay in my mind. But I just wanted to make sure before we go, is there anything else that we've not covered or we've neglected to mention? Is there any final word you'd like to have today?
I think the final word that is I would like to share is about, as a CX professional, it is very important to be passionate about what we do. It is not just about the work, but it is about the profession itself. So and the good thing, because right now there is a CXPA, right? CX Professional Association. There are a lot of company that is doing like awards, like My Customer, like International CX Awards that has just been completed. Is use this, leverage this, and be involved in this, so that we can step up beyond what we are capable of doing. Because as a professional around the world, we can learn from each other. We can learn a best practice from Europe, for example, from a telco in the Europe. But then it is not just about learning from other telco, but in other industries, we can also learn from, for example, we can learn from Airbnb, we can learn from iPhone, we can learn from Samsung, whichever that the companies that relates to us that we can implement. So one of my final advice is build networking, because you're not alone as a CX professional. And then with this social media, there is no limit. Because I know Neil, I know Adrian, I know you, Claire, because of social media. Otherwise, I'm here in Indonesia. You may be in other parts of the world. How could we meet each other? So use this, leverage this, so we can shine in all of our country, in all of our world.
So networking and building your community. I love it. And I hope you come and join Women in CX. I really do. And because I'd love for you to give that case study of how you achieved what you achieved and became CX Leader of the Day. So thank you so much for your time and your insights. Biggest congratulations once more. And I think we'll give Adrian the final word.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I just kind of will do on audio, which I'm probably supposed to do on video, and go what she said, which is congratulations to you and to your team and for all of your achievements. I mean, it's been a pleasure hearing your story and and learning from your insights, but also, as you say, meeting and connecting with you, because it builds that community kind of around the world. So it's been an absolute pleasure, Sri. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Adrian.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.
Well, that was cool. I hope you enjoyed it. I did, and I always do, actually, because I always learn something new when I speak to some of these amazing kind of people. And it's always something new that I can incorporate into my writing, speaking, workshops, and other sort of advisory work that I do. Now, if you're interested in learning about any of that sort of stuff, then you can find out more about how I work with clients over at adrianswinscoe.com. But one final thing before I go, please consider heading over to iTunes or Spotify or whichever podcast platform you choose to use, and do leave a review. Every little helps, as they say. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you for listening, and do tune in again soon. All the very best. Cheers. Bye.